Welcome to the Baseball Insiders. I am Adam Weinrib, joined as always by Fansided MLB Insider Robert Murray, and we're about to prank call Shedeur Sanders. No, that is not happening. Thank you for joining us. We are here to discuss the weekend, the week in MLB action. Robert was just at the NFL draft, and now he is back on the show. And during that time, Devin Williams lost the Yankees closer job permanently. Who knows? We got to talk about it. Tyler Glasnow goes down. The Dodgers suffering from more pitching injuries. Eugenio Suarez hit 4 homers in a game and lost. And one of Robert's takes that the internet has been making fun of him for might be more valid after the team that Suarez lost to grabbed the big win. Here to take me through the week in the game and answer as many of your questions as we can and not announce the Tucker extension is Fansided's MLB Insider Robert Murray. Robert, welcome back to the show.
Hey, it's good to be back. The NFL draft is over and done with. I feel a lot better than I did on Thursday night or Friday morning. It was a very, very long day, to say the least, but I am excited to be talking some baseball again. We got lots to dive into. Devin Williams stuff, I got plenty of insight on that one, considering my familiarity with Williams and from our time together in Milwaukee. So shall be a good show. Just very excited that you're here with me, Adam. How you doing? Happy Monday.
Happy Monday. It could be worse. Again, like we talked about before the show, the New York Giants have Abdul Carter now. New York Giants have Cam Scatterbo. The New York Giants have an identity, and we can move on to the rest of Major League Baseball action now that we've gone through my team rejoining the NFL. Again, are they going to win a lot of games next year? Check the schedule. Probably not. But do they mean something? Again, do they know what they are? It seems like they might. So with that in mind, hey, we'll talk about the Yankees too. They might know what they are as well. They have made a decision. They have pulled a plug. If you are here joining us today, we recommend you subscribe to the show. Just hit the subscribe button. You can hit the join button below that. You can become a member of the Discord. That's where you can ask Robert and I questions between shows at either the Rumor Mill tier or the All-Star tier. Robert's in the Rumor Mill channel Thursdays at 3 o'clock Eastern, back on schedule this week, doing a Q&A for everybody, scheduled, sanctioned, so come check that out. If you are not subscribed to the Moonshot, you should be. That's our weekly baseball email newsletter where the Fansided MLB team, including Robert Murray, will break down all the biggest stories in the big leagues with humor, insight, and behind-the-scenes info. You can also find our writing on the Baseball Insiders feed on fansided.com. That is fansided.com/baseball-insiders for the latest rumors and notes from Robert, humor, and insight from yours truly, and the best of baseball and pop culture from the Fansided MLB staff writers, interviews, exclusives. So check that out. We got good stuff running this week. I know, because I am in charge of the content plan. Okay, on to Devin Williams, the closer role in New York. Not his, and shouldn't have been his from this point forward. Gave up 4 runs, blew an 8-4 lead about a week ago, and they were like, all right, well, let's see how he does in a 1-run game on Friday night. It was 3-2, 3 batters later, and that's the minimum number of batters you are allowed to face these days unless you finish an inning. Quite terrible. So he's been demoted to lower leverage for now. The changeup is not catching anybody off guard. The airbender, the fastball's down about a tick, mile an hour in velocity. Not surprising that he is struggling in a new home with the pressures of free agency after the pressures of a playoff collapse meltdown on his ledger from last year. I think he still has the potential to be a very valuable piece of this Yankees team, but he could not remain as closer if they were serious about getting through the regular season and prepping for the end of the season and postseason in the smartest way possible. So do you think he has a chance to bounce back in lower leverage? Is this already over? And should the Yankees just go ahead and get rid of beards again? Let bygones be bygones. No more facial hair. Clearly, that's the problem here.
Yeah, as I've long said, the Yankees need to continue with that facial hair policy, because having facial hair, I mean, that's just a detriment to the play. No, I'm just kidding.
Bad look. Bad look.
Yeah, Williams, I think he'll be okay. But his struggles are definitely concerning here. And moving him to a lower leverage spot and bumping him out of the closer role did not come at any surprise whatsoever. Even he admitted to, like, this was something that he saw coming, that was not a surprise to him whatsoever. And if you look at his number, he's got an 11.25 ERA, strikeout to walk ratio of 8-7, which that is not very good the last time I checked. And he's always been known as a guy who can get a lot of whiffs, especially with that changeup, the airbender, which has been his famous pitch since he really made his rise in Milwaukee. And it's just been a continual struggle ever since he's gotten to New York. And you would think, given that his track record is as good as it is, that he would be okay. But the fact that there has been a dip in that fastball is a bit concerning because he's never been like an overpowering, like dominant kind of guy. So there is some concern there for me too. But they're going to be very patient with that spot there because they do have Luke Weaver. And last year we really saw what he ended up doing in that bullpen for the Yankees. Like he was masterful, and they got Weaver there. They got some other guys, but I'd expect Weaver to get the majority of the action there. And Williams will get another chance to go out and get that job back, especially considering if you look at what they ended up giving up in return to get Williams. Obviously, Nestor Cortez was a 1-year rental for Milwaukee, but Caleb Durbin was a really important piece there as part of that trade. And there's a lot of Dustin Pedroia comps there, so that would not be a small piece to give up whatsoever for the Yankees for a potential 1-year rental of Devin Williams and bumping him out of the closer role for just after 1 month. Like he will get another chance. It'll take some time for sure. He's got to get comfortable in New York, but could not have asked for a worse start if you're Williams or just the Yankees in general.
Yeah, the only thing worse than trading Caleb Durbin and that potential for a 1-year rental is trading for a 1-year rental who you can't use, who doesn't, play and participate and make his role. So, hey, we'll see how this ends. I think Williams will be an important part of the bullpen. I think he will get a chance to win the closer role back. I think Luke Weaver and Mark Leiter Jr. and even Fernando Cruz has gotten some save opportunities and converted them earlier in the season. Tim Hill's been great in the middle innings. They're getting Jonathan Loáisiga back at some point, though believing in him is about as insane as believing in Santa Claus at this point. And that is to say that believing in both is very fruitful and joyful. No, Santa Claus is great, but not a real guy. Sorry if you're listening to the podcast and you're a 6-year-old boy. But I think the Yankees could theoretically weather this storm and give Williams another chance down the line. And if not, he can easily be a valuable setup man. He can easily be a valuable 7th inning guy. They just need to do whatever it takes to maximize his potential for filling high leverage innings later in the season. And right now, that is not throwing him back into 1-run games because they gave him a chance on Friday. It went south immediately. There's something tangibly wrong here, whether it's an injury, whether it is mental, whether it's, acclimating to the climate in New York, or just maybe it's, maybe it's a holdover from last year and a back injury, or it's a mental block. Whatever it is not just like, he'll be better tomorrow, because it's now clear that he will not be, and they need to work to get him back to where he needs to be.
And like he will get back to where he needs to be, but having a guy like Luke Weaver gives you so much insurance there. And I saw the guy Zach G asked whether or not they could extend Weaver. I wouldn't imagine that's a very likely scenario. He's going to probably play out the year for the remainder of his contract. He did recently, I want to say in the last month or two, switch agents. So that's going to complicate things as well. But there's no doubt whatsoever when they signed him last year, that was just a stroke of genius by them. It was a huge value there. He's way exceeded that contract. So whether it's in New York or just anywhere else, he is going to get a huge payday when he becomes a free agent there.
And I think the Yankees are learning that, hey, maybe if they have to pick between paying one of these two walk-year closer types, they should consider Weaver. And I know it's sort of confusing. I see people coming in the comments asking if the Yankees are going to trade for X reliever, or, my team can give the Yankees some relievers. I actually don't think the Yankees need relievers right now. And I understand it's sort of confusing to say, oh, they just demoted the, all-star closer they traded for. Surely they're going to need a bullpen backfill. I think if Weaver is able to stay healthy and retain that closer role, they have enough setup men that this is not their primary need. They're going to be looking for starting pitching. They're going to be looking for innings. They're going to be looking for a third baseman. Like they need bats and they need starters. Reliever kind of the least of their worries, especially if Loáisiga does come back. And look, just successfully watched the counter. We just did 10 minutes on the New York Yankees on the Baseball Insider. So they told me it couldn't be done.
And we're gonna do more here because I got some other stuff too. Is Drew? You are desperate for the Padres and Yankees to make a trade together. I know Eguy Rosario was a big one for you for a while. I don't know who you're eyeing up there, if it's Suarez or any of these other guys, but you are very desperate for those two sides to make a trade here. And you also wonder too. It's like, what options could they target if they do actually do look for a reliever? And I agree with you. Like a starting pitcher is way more likely because they have such depth issues there. But Duvall with the Giants makes plenty of sense. We've even seen Ryan Helsley get mentioned in trade rumors already from Bob Nightingale, who said it's likely that he's moved, which I think that's probably an accurate thing to say by Bob. But he'll draw plenty of interest on the market. So if they do actually go out and look for a reliever, there should be some options, but Yeah, I think starting pitching is probably the more likely thing for them as of this point, but nothing imminent there from what I gather.
Appreciate the questions, of course, as always in the comments. And I do not want the Yankees to trade for Yuki Matsui, but if they do, we will
Rather like
address it.
Hideki Matsui.
Yeah, Hideki Matsui, I love. I mean, you could reuse some of those jerseys, number 55. But again, Yuki, not for me right now. But hey, depending on who they do trade for, we will cover it right here on the Baseball Insiders as the trade deadline approacheth, which is like 3 months from today. There's another fan base that might be going through more than the Yankees fans are going through at this point in time. Yankees are 17-11. They have steered out of their early season skid a little bit, despite losing some bad Devin Williams meltdowns. The Dodgers went from 8-0 to 10-10, in case many of you didn't notice, but I know Dodger fans noticed because they are anxious all the time, despite being the reigning World Series champs and the kings of spending. And they have the best bidets in baseball, I guess, to make sure Roki Sasaki is comfortable. I don't know if anybody heard that, I assume.
That was that was wild.
Yeah, I don't know what the deal is with that, but I guarantee you, if a major league team came to me and said, "We heard you, we heard your desires, we're going to install those bidets you asked for," I would be like, "Okay, nice try. I'm not going to sign with you. I tricked you into installing bidets." But the Dodgers are losing rotation members, as they always seem to. And if you're a Dodgers fan, I don't know how concerned you really have to be, considering they went into the postseason in the World Series last year with Jack Flaherty and spit and glue and tape, and they won the World Series in 5 games. But Tyler Glasnow injured again, and 2 starts he's left early in a row for different reasons. And the last one, he left with some shoulder pain yesterday and said in the aftermath that the shoulder pain is a result of accounting for some of the elbow pain he had earlier in his career and changing his motion, which is probably the last thing I want to hear if I'm a Dodgers fan or a Glasnow supporter. And, of course, they're bringing Tony Gonsolin back this week, but they've long-term lost Blake Snell. We don't know what's going on with his left shoulder, but he doesn't seem to be improving. So that's 2 big rotation pieces down for an indeterminate amount of time. How are you feeling about the Dodgers, especially knowing the West is as rough and tumble as it is?
Yeah, I'm still very confident in them. Even with the Padres emerging and the Giants way exceeding expectations early, you look at that Dodgers team, they were designed to overcome injuries and rotation stuff. Like they added a bunch of different guys in the rotation this offseason. They have more depth there than they did even last season. And you also got to remember too that trade deadline's coming in a couple of months or in a few months, and they're surely going to be active there. So there's going to be reinforcements there for sure. I still think they're easily the favorite to represent the National League in the World Series. They're the best team in, at least on paper, in baseball history. It has not been exactly that so far to start this season, but I'm very confident they'll overcome it. The injury to Glasnow, however, that part concerns me. And he obviously suffered the injury last year, already dealing with injuries so far this season. There's a legitimate chance he does go on the injured list. And they gave him that huge extension as part of the trade last year. And that was always a risk because of his injury history and just exactly how he's been unable to stay healthy even during his time in Tampa Bay. Same thing's happening in LA. That part to me is more concerning than anything as far as the Dodgers team overall. And they just got to hope it's not too serious here, because losing him for any length of time, or if it's even a long-term thing, would be a huge blow. But that being said, I don't know. I don't know anything quite yet. I've tried. But nobody's saying anything. But I do think there's a decent chance he ends up in the injury list.
Good point by Doc in the comments. While we're talking about the Dodgers rotation breaking down again, we know that they can regenerate arms, but they have put a lot of strain on that infrastructure. The Dodgers pitching lab is always spoken so highly of. It's kind of a mess, though. Does make me wonder, brief sidebar, sort of what's the pitching lab that you have the most faith in right now? Like, is it the Dodgers or is it the Brewers, who we've spoken highly about on this show? I'm going to throw my hat in the ring for Chris Fetter and the Tigers, given what he's done. And the tweaks he made to Tarek Skubal's arsenal to make him arguably the best pitcher in baseball. Casey Mize is back. He can fix everybody but Kenta Maeda, it would seem. I'm gonna give the Tigers the hat tip here, but I'm curious what your thought is on the best lab in the game right now.
Yeah, you actually stole both of my answers. So how dare you? I mean, obviously you got to go with the Rays as well, but the Brewers, their pitching lab is as good as it gets. I've said it on this podcast before, and I'll say it again. I have tried any which way to get more details on that pitching lab. I've even requested to do a story on that pitching lab, and each and every time I get rejected by the Brewers. So not very nice of you, Milwaukee. I don't know why you're doing that to me, but that pitching lab is as good as it gets. And as going to the Tigers here, obviously, like Chris Fetter is a very good pitching coach. I've also heard just tremendous things about their assistant pitching coach. His name is slipping me as of this point, or it might be their bullpen coach. I want to do some. There's a coach on the Tigers. It's either a bullpen or their assistant hitting or assistant pitching coach. I can't remember which one, but he is extremely highly regarded. I got numerous texts about him this offseason. I believe he's been candidates for pitching coach job or elsewhere. He is just extremely well thought of, and he is a huge part of what they do. Let me get a name real quick. I want to make sure I get this. You go on your spiel, Adam, but I want to make sure I get this right. Hopefully, when I got a new phone, it ended up getting deleted. What a nightmare! Oh my God, this is the worst day of my life, Adam.
Well, the guy doesn't have a name, so maybe the guy just does not have a name. What if you tossed
he might not exist.
No, he's not real. What if you tossed me right there for my spiel, and it was the first ever time that I was just totally wordless. I had nothing to add. I think a lot of good potential pitching labs are being mentioned in the comments. I mean, it more so than ever, I would say that if you are a mid-market team looking to allocate your resources and your limited funds, this is the way to go. Like hiring a pitching coach with a dedicated plan like this and an org chart and a staff and an infrastructure to support that person. The Brewers have been an NL Central powerhouse for the better part of a decade. The Tigers seem poised to maybe take a crown that they didn't know was theirs early last year. Like they were, correct me if I'm wrong, I think the Tigers planned to win in a different way. I think they thought maybe they would woo some high-profile free agents to follow AJ Hinch, and they would have Alex Bregman entrenched, and they would have a pipeline behind them, sure. But I think they thought offensively they'd maybe be in a different place than they are right now. Instead, they're sort of picking up undervalued pieces. Now the farm is coming, but it's the pitching that leads the way.
Pitching is always going to lead the way for them. And Jackson Jobe, Tariq Skubal, I mean, they've got so many pieces there. They got great pitching coaches as well. They're winning in, as you said, they're winning in a different way than they thought. They thought they had a very good chance of signing Alex Bregman, and until the Red Sox ended up coming in late, I thought Bregman was actually going to Detroit, and that would have been a huge ad for them, and that may have ended up putting them over the top in like an actual World Series conversation there in the American League. And maybe that's a bit of a hot take. I don't know, but I'm a huge believer in what they're building there in Detroit, especially with that pitching staff. And no, they're building it the right way. They just need to continue to add some pieces at the deadline. And it should not be forgotten that they've had success in building Lorenzen and then also Flaherty before shipping them off at the deadline in the last 2 years. And players around the league, especially pitchers, have noticed that. And if there's ever a place that these guys are going to want to go to potentially rebuild their value if they're coming off of a down year, Detroit's a really appealing option. I don't think that's not something that we've said for like the last 5 or so years, but now they're a pretty intriguing destination overall for these guys.
And I feel like the days of the Tigers building up pitchers and flipping them at the deadline may be over, though. If there's a win-win, if there's a win-win scenario where you can build up a number 6 starter, turn him into a viable piece, and then replace him internally and get what you want to fuel a second half run / playoff run, then that definitely works, and it's a good way to sell high on talent. And they managed to bring Jack Flaherty back after deploying him, making a run through the playoffs without him, getting him a ring in his hometown, and now he comes back to Detroit. That says a lot about how he valued his time there to begin with. I'm going to give you another chance to do a victory lap here because
hang on. Time out. I got the name finally for the Tigers. Robin Lund. He is extremely well regarded in baseball circles. I'm sorry to Robin for forgetting your name, but Robin Lund. Remember that name. He is very, very, very respected in baseball, and it is only a matter of time before he's a pitching coach in the majors.
I'm glad we got that name. And now you can say, if you heard it here on the Baseball Insiders first, you can say that that's legitimate. This is the first place you probably heard Robin Lund getting the love. And that's why people come to this podcast, I hope. They also come to this podcast for your takes. And you went moderately viral on our YouTube for just telling Braves fans to relax a little bit about their difficult start to the season. And I understand watching a team lose every single day is enough to shake your faith in your team, right? I'm not I'm not sitting here from my catbird seat being like, I don't understand why these peasants are crying about losing every day. No, it stinks to lose every day. But the Braves are getting Ronald Acuna Jr. back. The Braves are too talented to be as bad as they were. The bullpen is not fixed. The rotation has holes. And yet, Eugenio Suarez has a 4 home run game, including a game tying shot late on Saturday. And it's not enough for the Diamondbacks to beat the Braves, who go ahead and win in extra innings. That's sort of the signature win early in the season for the Braves, who've gotten a lot out of Alex Verdugo, who has rejuvenated that offense a little bit. They've gotten a lot out of their shortstop position from someone they never expected to. We see you. And all of a sudden, the Atlanta Braves 12-15, not what you want, not where you thought you'd be, but a totally reasonable place to make a comeback and basically just behind the Phillies in the NL East and wildcard picture.
Yeah, I'll admit I did not know I went viral for that take, so I'm very happy about that, Adam. Makes me feel good because
all the comments we're getting, all of our notifications are people commenting on that, but they've turned. You've gotten to watch the wave turn, where before it was people being like, "Don't give up on the Braves. This what a joke. They're 0-8." Now people are commenting like, "Uh-oh, they're actually kind of okay now."
See, I mean, that's why we can never overreact to what's happening early on into the season. And there's times that I preach patience and then I look like an idiot. In point in case, I was optimistic about the Pirates this year. And well, yeah, that's not very good. But the Braves, they were always going to turn this thing around. And the Strider injury, that was what put some pause into me and made me think, okay, maybe this might not end up happening. But they just have so many pieces on that team overall. They got the pitching, and I'm very on the record in my love for Spencer Swellenbach. They got a great manager in Brian Snicker. They have a president of baseball ops or whatever his title is, and Alex Anthopoulos, who just works tirelessly to make sure that roster is in good shape and ready to compete. And I was just optimistic that it was going to end up being okay. And they will get Jurickson Profar back at some point. He is not going to play in the postseason, however, should they advance, which that is obviously a blow. But they were always going to be okay. They're battle tested. They're, as I said, they got pieces. It was going to be okay. They're still not at 500 yet by any means, but I think when it's all said and done, they're going to be in the postseason hunt. And we're going to all look back at that early season conversation and be like, what the frick were we talking about?
Yeah, it's going to be a strange one. And like, the Mets were 11 games under 500 last summer. Like it happens every year. Not saying the Braves are going to make me look smart and go to the NLCS and lose to the Dodgers, which is what I think I had before the season, but can't count them out yet. And I think the fans understand why they were counting them out, right? I would be in the same place you were if I was watching my team play like that to start the year after 6 months without watching baseball. But it is far from over, and they have given us plenty of evidence there. I'm going to briefly rant about the Cleveland Guardians fan who said what we believe they said to Jarren Duran yesterday afternoon. I saw what Will Middlebrook said. He said the Guardians broadcast only noted that it was regarding Duran's suicide attempt, highly publicized, spoke about it in the Red Sox Netflix documentary. That fan should be banned from Cleveland Guardians games for life. The Guardians apologized. That fan should maybe be banned from sporting events for life, local sporting events. Shout out to the fans in Cleveland in his section for calling out his behavior and turning on him rather than turning on the Red Sox, who were almost charging the stands because of what this fan reportedly said. I will not be repeating what this fan reportedly said, but I will only say that no punishment goes far enough. No one... this fan really does not. There are some things that you can't, again, like, I don't know. Some people do things that don't afford them the opportunities that they think they deserve. Like, I don't know. Sorry, you don't get to go to games anymore. Like, cancel culture and what have you. Like, that's not a mistake. That's a hateful thing that you think. And you don't get to go to games anymore if we can prove that true. So that's all I have to say.
No, I think you summed that about, like, you summed that up as well as you possibly could. And we've seen all the outrage about what happened with Shedeur Sanders and what happened with that prank call and whatever. And like, I get that. But this guy should have so many, it's a shame what happened here. And that's something that should never be done. It's not okay. It will never be okay. And yet again, I'll say this is we always forget, or we seem to always forget, that these players are people. And we see them as these larger than life guys that can't have anything bad happen to them because they're just living everyone's dream. When in reality, like, yeah, they are living that pretty cool lifestyle, but they are people too. And they go through struggles. They go through all sorts of different stuff, just like we do. They have the same feelings like we do. They're just like us, and they're just more in the public than we are. But these guys, they're just like us, and it freaking bothers me that Guardians fan ended up saying that, and he should be ashamed. He should be banned for life from all baseball events. I don't know what can be done to him in this case, but honestly, nothing can really be strong enough because what he said was freaking awful. And I feel really bad for Jarren Duran because opening up the way he did in that Netflix documentary, that takes some, that's a real man right there. And that Guardians fan who ended up saying that to him, nah, he's not a man at all. He's a coward. And
yeah,
Jarren Duran, no, we're all with you on this one, buddy. We love Jarren Duran on this podcast.
Uncle Ted, just a drunk idiot. I mean, again, in this society these days, though, drunk idiots are empowered to say things like that. If you're drunk, sometimes the truth comes out, right? That's a true thing that this person thought was okay to say, and it's clearly something he believes. And we also don't know if he was drunk, right? We don't know anything about this person. So baseless speculation, unfair to say that he only said something awful because he was intoxicated when we don't know that to be true. And regardless, the thing he said crossed so many lines that drunk, sober, doesn't matter. It was a real thing that came out of his mouth, and it was a ridiculous statement to make. So focus in between the lines. I'm actually not going to focus in between the lines when a player's personal life and life in general is at stake. Comments that fans feel entitled and empowered to make. So that's it for the Jarren Duran section.
I got one more thing too.
Yeah.
And this is as strong as you'll ever hear me say something like this. Is in many cases like this, like the name of the fan or whoever leaks, it somehow gets out. I hope this guy has his name get out. I hope his employer sees it. I hope everyone around him sees it and sees exactly the kind of man or that this guy claims to be, because he is nothing short of an idiot. No, he deserves everything he's got coming his way.
Yeah, no excuses. I'm not making any excuses for this guy.
No.
And again, better than batteries being thrown at you. Why are we comparing horrible crowd offenses? How about all these things being mentioned are terrible and fans shouldn't feel that they can step over the line and do any of them? Capiche?
No, Uncle Ted, that's ban worthy.
Yeah, capiche, done. Yeah, I'm not saying anything is better or worse than batteries being thrown at you. Although I will say that is how I evaluate job interviews. If I interview somebody for 20 minutes, then we sign off and I go, was speaking with that person better than batteries being thrown at me? It was close. Maybe I'll hire him. Maybe that's not a scale that I usually use in my day to day.
No, one of the worst lines that's ever been created is "Sticks and stones will break my bones, but words will never hurt me." That line's a load of shit. Words hurt, and in Duran's case, that had to have hurt a lot. And yeah, I'm done talking about it. But I could go on a rant about that because that fucking sucks. I'm not gonna lie. That blows.
Yep. And there we go. We said what we said. Robert, anything else in the notebook before we wrap up this podcast?
No, I've got nothing. I want to. Yeah, I'm pretty worked up over the Durant stuff. Yeah, that just sucks. That really sucks.
Yep. Again, not to go too far, but I don't want to hear excuses made in the comments or comparisons or belittling what actually happened. There's really no way to address that. There's no way to compare it to anything without it coming off as belittling. So if that's not what we're doing, then maybe we don't keep trying to do that in the comment section. We hope everybody enjoyed the show today. We'll see you on Wednesday afternoon, 1:00 Eastern, back here with Robert. I'll be here at noon tomorrow with Eric Cole on the Prospect Show, and then Robert and I again at 3:30 on Friday. Private Q&A with Robert in the in the Rumor Mill channel. Please join the Discord of the Rumor Mill channel. You can speak to Robert Q&A session at 3:00 on Thursday afternoon. And again, chatter in the All-Star channel. You can ask Robert and I exclusive questions in there, as well as Eric Cole is there. If you have prospect questions for Eric, tag him in. He will answer them. The Moonshot, please subscribe if you are not subscribed to that yet. You can also find our baseball writing on the Baseball Insiders feed on fansided.com. That is fansided.com/baseball-insiders. Robert Murray, we ran the emotional gamut here again today. Baseball talk, Dodgers injuries, laughing at trade proposals, and then took it back to a pretty serious place. But I am sort of proud of how we got there at the end.
No, me too. I'm very proud of how we did it. yeah, we stand for what's right on the Baseball Insiders. It's good to be on that side. And now that I'm worked up, I'm gonna go take Cooper to the dog park. So I'm signing off now. I'm gonna go to my happy place with the little man, and I will see everyone back here on Wednesday. I know you're gonna be here tomorrow for the prospect stream, so we love that. But good show, Adam.
Good show. Another fun one. We will be back here again. I'll be here tomorrow. Robert and I will be here on Wednesday. Run out that aggression. Go to the dog park. Get down on all fours. Try to sprint around the room with Cooper. You'll eventually. Maybe he'll probably. He's faster than you. Probably.
Oh yeah, I may look athletic, but I am slow as it gets.
I can't run. I'll never do it. I used to. Did they make you run the mile in middle school, elementary school?
Oh yeah, dude. I'm not kidding. I never got under 10 minutes.
I the first one I ever did, I was so tired. I didn't do it when I was in the city, and then I moved to the suburbs, and I was like, I don't even know what this is. So I sprinted as fast as I could, got tired after 40 seconds. I was like, I'm never running. Like I'm never doing this. Started walking, and then they yelled with a minute remaining that if you didn't finish under 15, you got an automatic 15 and you got made fun of 15 minutes. So at like 13:54, I just started sprinting and I finished at 14:56. So never again.
Beast. That's why you're Adam Weinrib. That's why you're the GOAT. We love it. I did not get 15. I don't think I got 15 either. So look at us go.
Yeah, I was close to getting 15. Very embarrassing. Well, how fast can you sprint? Weigh in the comments. Join us in the Discord. And we'll see you Tuesday for the Prospect Show, Wednesday and Friday. For the Baseball Insiders, for Robert Murray, I'm Adam Weinrib. Take care, everybody. And we'll catch you tomorrow, Wednesday, and Friday.
We will. Thank you, everybody.